Hey guys, welcome back for some more Alabama history. Yesterday we left off talking about Chief Tecumseh and how he tried to rally all the Indian tribes to fight against the settlers, and talked about Chief Pushmataha, who was against Tecumseh and thought that relationships with the settlers should have been more peaceful. So today we're going to be talking about the first shots of the Creek War. So who fired the first shots of the Creek War? You may think it was the Creek Indian tribe because it's called the Creek War, but in fact, it was the white settlers who shot the first shots of the Creek War. What happened? Okay, let me tell you what happened. Tecumseh made a deal with the Spanish in Florida for some guns, and he sent warriors to pick them up. When the warriors returned to Tecumseh, they had bullets, supplies, and a few guns. So Tecumseh, even though he wanted to have a war against the settlers, made a deal with the Spanish settlers for guns and sent some of his tribe to go pick them up. And when they came back, they had the bullets, the supplies, and a few guns. So this is what happened after that. The warriors picked up the guns on July 23rd, 1813. Then they decided to camp that night at the edge of a swamp called Burnt Corn Creek. They woke up to gunfire all around them. A bunch of the settlers had snuck up on them and started a surprise attack. So do you think that maybe word about what Tecumseh was wanting to do got around to them and they decided to take things into their own hands first? The natives scrambled into Burnt Corn Creek for cover. And instead of the white settlers following the natives into the swamp, they just picked up all the guns and that the natives left behind. Because whenever the natives got up, when they were woken by gunfire, they just took off running for cover. They didn't grab any of those guns, any of those supplies, or any of those bullets that they had gotten from the Spanish. After the first day of the Creek War, who do you think was ahead? The settlers or Tecumseh's tribe? Nope. You might think it was the settlers because they had the natives' guns, but in fact, it was the natives. All right, so the settlers leave the door open for Fort Massacre. So General Ferdinand Claiborne warned the settlers that Fort Mims needed strengthening up. He was like, we've got to fortify these walls. We've got to make sure that we're protected on all sides. We need to make it stronger. The settlers just ignored him. They're like, we'll be fine. We've got guns. They don't. We'll be good. A week later, a young settler came running into Fort Mims to say that there was a Creek native with war paint in the woods outside the fort. The settlers ignored him. Then, on August 30th, 1813, a writer, Daniel Beasley, came to the fort shouting that American Indians were coming. Do you think they ignored him or do you think they listened? Did they believe him? Nope. The commander of the fort had Daniel Beasley arrested. It was at that moment they heard the war whoop of the Creeks as they came out of the woods, shooting their guns and swinging their tomahawks. So tomahawks are swords, in a sense. The attack happened so fast that the settlers could not even close the doors of the fort. So not only were the walls really not strong enough, but they couldn't even get the doors closed. Okay, so they had been warned several times and they didn't even think to shut the doors. So the Creek were led by Chief Red Eagle, his name was William Wethersford, who ordered the natives not to kill the women and children. Okay, so they had a little bit of humanity in them. They don't kill the women, don't kill the children, let's just kill the settlers. The Creeks did not listen to Chief Red Eagle, however. They were out for blood and they killed anyone and everyone that they saw. Okay, so this was kind of like revenge for them having that surprise attack at Burnt Corn Creek on them. At the end of the day, 100 Creeks and more than 250 settlers were dead. So that's a major, major casualty, which is why it is called the Fort Mims Massacre, because there was such a huge amount of death. All right, enough is enough. The Creek Nation is ruined. So the day came on March 27, 1814. More than 1,000 Creek warriors were camped at a village on the bend of the Tallapoosa River. Andrew Jackson and his Tennessee soldiers attacked the village from above. General John Coffee and the rest of the soldiers swam the river and attacked from below. So they were coming at them from all angles, above, below. They were not safe. One soldier, Sam Houston, said arrows, spears, and balls were flying, swords and tomahawks gleamed in the sun. So there were weapons, bullets, everything flying around while they were fighting. The battle lasted all day long, and in the end, almost 1,000 soldiers had been killed. So again, another huge loss. It was too much for the Creek, and the war ended. Enough was enough. All right, so as you can see, the events that Tecumseh insisted would needed to happen, the fighting with the settlers, the war with the settlers, is not exactly working out in their favor. Alrighty, we are going to pick up and finish this tomorrow. Please make sure you are checking your folders for any assignments, and I will see you guys then.